beautiful people. What is up? We got Crystal and Chad. We got Lauren, Jennifer, Gamer. What's up, guys? Anthony Fully. What is up, guys? Welcome. We are here on a Saturday, right? We're here on a Saturday. Normally don't stream on weekends, but we have a sponsored stream today. We have a sponsored stream by Lauren. So Lauren in chat, thank you for the sponsor. Really appreciate it. This is more of a, let me turn down this music a little bit. I feel like that's a bit too loud. This is more of a tough love stream. This is one of those attitude streams, pulling yourself together. So Lauren had this idea for a stream. You know, what do you do when you get in those moments where you feel like you're spiraling, right? You're just doing the wrong thing. You're talking to yourself in the wrong way, and you just got that wrong attitude. So how do you pull yourself together when you feel like you've already went down the rabbit hole and you feel like you've already got the wrong attitude and perspective for the day? You've started the day the wrong way, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Like I said, W in chat for Lauren for sponsoring today's stream. Really appreciate it. Apparently not many people knew that was a thing, and ever since we had a sponsored stream like last week, a lot of people have been really wanting to sponsor streams, and I really appreciate it. If you want to sponsor a stream and you want me to dedicate an entire stream to a topic of your choice, all you got to do is DM me on any of the social media for Vacay Fear. Let me know what you want the topic to be, cover the tip goal for the stream, and you will be our sponsor. So shout out W, Lauren in chat, Purple Hearts. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate you, Lauren. How you doing today, Crystal? What's up, Jay? What's up, Jesse? We got Jesse in the house. Always a special occasion when we have Jesse here. Luis, what's up, dude? What's up, Luis? Welcome. Welcome. The outdoor selfie challenge. Yeah, so that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. That's another thing I want to talk about. We started a challenges form over on the Discord. I figured that would be a good way to get people involved in actually doing challenges. So Steph and Kate are in charge of that. If you want to join us on the Discord just so you can partake in the challenges, feel free to do so. We'd love to have you over there. So that should be interesting for all of you who are already on the Discord. Check that out. We added that today. I added that not long ago. It's the challenges form in the Discord. Just a good way for people to challenge anxiety, right? So check that out. Make sure you check that out. Let's see if I can grab a quick link to that, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Yeah, so if you don't, if you have no interest in joining the Discord other than to take part in this new challenges thing that we got going on over there, that would be great. Let me see. Hopefully that link works. I don't know. Sometimes it's broken. Hopefully that works, though. But yeah, I really recommend you guys checking that out. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this one. Definitely got enough people in chat here. By the way, thank you guys so much for all of the love on the video I uploaded yesterday. A lot of you guys really seem to enjoy it. So I thought about from this moment forward, maybe on the days where I don't plan on streaming or whatever, something comes up, I might just do like a really quick little video like that, kind of like a throwback to the OG style videos. Obviously, I enjoy making the videos. I enjoy streaming a bit more because I like to interact with you guys. But we might start doing just the shorter OG style videos on the days that I don't stream. But obviously, streaming will be our go-to thing. So, but thank you guys for all the support on that video. I really appreciate it. So let's jump into this one. Wonder Bro sent you something on PayPal earlier. I did get it. Thank you for reminding me, Luis, for the $10 tip. I really appreciate it. Just saying thank you for everything. Thank you for that, dude. It's not often that I just get random tips off stream, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for reminding me. So let's get into this. Get this music out of my own ears. All right, guys. Sponsored stream again. W, Lauren, and chat, really appreciate it. Pulling yourself together. So this stream is based on the topic of you're already spiraling, right? That's what we're talking about. You're already going down the rabbit hole. You notice that you are doing the wrong things. You understand that you're doing the wrong things. How do you pull yourself together in those moments? And I wrote some things down here that I want to talk about on this topic. Let's see here. The first thing that I've got written down here is pulling yourself together is an attitude shift. Pulling yourself together is an attitude shift. It is an attitude shift in the moment. It is very difficult, if not impossible, for someone to, quote unquote, pull themselves together if they have the attitude of a victim. It is very difficult, if not impossible, for somebody to, quote unquote, pull themselves together if they have that horrible, negative, victim-like attitude. So pulling yourself together is really an attitude shift. Now, this is the example I've got here. When you guys watch my streams, and I've seen it happen so many times before, people watch my streams and then they say things like, I'm feeling better. I feel like, after the stream, I'm motivated and encouraged, and, I feel like I can really do the right thing, right? I want you to understand, you don't feel that way because you watched one of my streams. I mean, I'm here to teach, right? I'm here to give you the knowledge and point you in the right direction, but you don't feel that way because you watched one of my streams. You feel that way because it led to an attitude shift. You feel that way because it led to an attitude shift. Now, I probably got on here and said things that encouraged you and motivated you, but at the end of the day, it wasn't necessarily me that led to you feeling a bit better about your situation. It was you with your own attitude shift, right? So pulling yourself together comes down to the way that you talk to yourself, because the way that you talk to yourself leads to the attitude shift. If you're starting to feel a ton of anxiety, or you're anxious right now and you're having a bunch of intrusives, it's going to be your perspective and attitude towards what's going on that is going to determine how you stay together or fall apart. Right? So if you're experiencing a ton of anxiety and intrusives right now, and the attitude is somewhere along the lines of, I'm a victim, I'm being attacked by this thing, this is not an opportunity, this is a curse, this is not a blessing, this is a curse. If your attitude is somewhere within those lines, it's no wonder you're not using the advice. You can't use the advice, right? You can't use the advice if the attitude is not in line. So pulling yourself together really looks like this. Let's say you're extremely anxious right now. You're dealing with a bunch of intrusives. It's going to come down to you having a sit down with yourself and looking in the mirror and saying something like, you know what? I've got to take advantage of this. You know what? I want to get my life back, and I'm not going to get my life back by sitting in the corner and worrying. I need to be doing the opposite of that. Wonder Bro tells me I need to be doing the opposite of that. What does the opposite of that look like for me right now? And then you make that choice. You get up and you do the activity. You get up and you do the behavior. And while you're doing that, you're telling yourself all the right things. You're no longer worrying over the content of the intrusives. You're no longer worrying over the symptoms in the body. You are telling yourself things like, hey, this is an opportunity. I want to do the work. I'm willing to do the work. This is a day that I can turn into a good day. This is how you pull it together, how you quote unquote pull it together. You can't pull it together. There's no such thing as pulling it together if you're living through the victim attitude, right? If you've got the victim mentality, you can forget about pulling it together, because that's not going to happen. You will never be able to pull it together if you've got the victim mentality. So pulling it together is an attitude shift. It is an attitude shift. And how do you perform an attitude shift? You perform an attitude shift with what you tell yourself, right? So if you want to pull it together, you cannot be in an attitude of a victim. If you want to pull it together, it's going to come down to what you tell yourself. You have to want to do the work. And whether you feel like it or not, you need to start feeding that to yourself. You need to start telling yourself the right things. I want to do the work. I can do the work. I'm capable of doing the work. I can handle doing the work. I can turn this day into any kind of day that I want it to be. You cannot perform an attitude shift from the corner. You cannot perform an attitude shift from the victim mentality. Pulling it together is all about attitude, and attitude is all about what you tell yourself, right? So it's kind of the same thing that we've preached here since day one. If you feel like you are spiraling, right, and you have the accountability and the self-awareness to say, look, I know that I'm spiraling. I know that I'm doing the wrong things. I know that I'm telling myself the wrong things. If you have the accountability and the self-awareness to be able to spot that, then that means you also are capable of, quote-unquote, pulling it together. But that's going to come with reminding yourself of the facts. That's going to come with having a sit down with yourself. Sometimes that's very helpful. People kind of underestimate that. Sometimes it's helpful just to sit down for a second and remind yourself of the facts. So many people are forgetting the facts. They are throwing the facts out the window. They are not reminding themselves of the basic truths, right? So let's say you're spiraling and you want to pull it together, like the title of this stream says, pull it together. Let's say you're spiraling and you want to pull it together. You might need to sit yourself down, right? You might need to sit yourself down and say, what's the facts? The facts are anxiety learns while anxiety is turned on. The facts are I've been here a million times before. Nothing ever happens. I can either suffer through this day or I can use it to my advantage and I can learn from it and I can grow from it. See, these are all facts that tend to get tossed out the window when people are spiraling because they don't take a second to sit down and, just like the title of this stream says, pull it together. You need to pull it together. There's a lot of moments where you probably need to sit down and have a firm and stern talking with yourself and pull it together. But the only way you can do that is if you switch your attitude, change your attitude. And the only way you can change your attitude is if you have that sit down with yourself, right? So how many people in the chat, show of hands, can say that at one point or another they really could have benefited? Because I can put both hands in the air. There was so many times in the past where I really could have benefited from sitting down and just slapping myself on the wrist and saying, dude, wake up, here's the facts, and then going over those facts in my mind. People love to absorb the information, but they don't want to bring the information up when it counts. They don't want to pull it together when it counts. And again, pulling it together comes down to an attitude shift. An attitude shift comes down to the way you talk to yourself. How do you need to talk to yourself? You need to give yourself the facts. So if you are spiraling, right, if you are going down that rabbit hole and you want to pull it together, you might have to have a sit down with yourself and say, look, here is the facts. You guys love to absorb the information. You love to hear the information, but are you bringing that information to the forefront of your mind in the heat of the moment, or are you just tossing it out the window? Because a lot of people just toss it out the window, right? So that is the point, guys, of today's stream. That is how you perform an attitude shift. That is how you, quote unquote, pull it together. So let's see a W in chat for Lauren for sponsoring today's stream. Really, really appreciate it, Lauren. Thank you so much for that. I believe that's all I've got to say on that topic. That's all the notes that I've got written down here on that topic. I feel like that's pretty important, though. Again, a lot of people just tend to toss the basic knowledge out the window when it comes to the heat of the moment. A lot of people tend to not pull it together. They just continue to spiral, and the only way that you can possibly pull it together is to have a sit down with yourself, get out of the victim mentality, remind yourself of the facts, and decide that you're going to do better today, right? That is the only way you can pull it together, and it's going to start with you, and it's going to end with you. Nobody can force you to pull it together. You have to sit down and pull it together yourself, and that's going to come down to what you tell yourself. So sometimes if you find that you spiral a lot, you might have to start having more sit-downs with yourself. And I don't mean sit-downs as in sit there and obsess about anxiety and recovery. No, I mean very quickly pull yourself to the side for a minute. It only takes a few minutes. Pull yourself to the side for a minute. Say, here's my objective. Here's my goal. I know what's going on here. Put some emotion into it, man. Put some fucking emotion into it. And really have that sit down with yourself. Of course, you're going to continue to experience the symptoms and the thoughts, but the attitude has changed, right? Hopefully, the attitude has changed. Right? So, yeah, you can't reason with the amygdala with your frontal cortex. That's not what we're trying to do. That would be like trying to battle with the thought. You are trying to change your own shitty attitude, right? That's what you're trying to do. So when I say pull yourself together, when I say use that accepting inner voice, that's not going to put a dent into the amygdala. The amygdala still has to learn. But what it is going to do is it's going to stop the fire. You can't reason with the amygdala with the frontal cortex. You are 100% correct, and I'm glad you're paying attention. But you can set the amygdala off with your shitty frontal cortex, right? You can't reason with the amygdala with your frontal cortex, aka your thinking mind, but you can fuel the fire. You sure as shit can fuel the fire with your frontal cortex. You can't reason with the amygdala, but you can fuel the fire. So that's what the attitude shift is for. You're no longer fueling the fire. That is what pulling it together is for. You're no longer fueling the fire. You are doing less of the worry. You've got the right attitude. You're taking advantage. You are not adding fuel to the fire with your frontal cortex, aka your thinking mind. So does that make sense, Red? Like I said, sorry, apologies. I'm glad you're paying attention. Yes, you cannot reason with your amygdala. You can't tell your amygdala, hey, turn off. That's not what we're trying to do. but you can fuel it. You can fuel the fire. You can send worry signals. You can send danger signals, right? So I say just about every stream, I always say, hey, you can't tell your amygdala just to turn off. It's going to take time. Your brain needs to catch up. Your brain needs to, your nerves need to heal. It takes time for the amygdala to learn. You can't just tell it to instantly turn off, but you can fuel it, which is what we're trying to avoid. You sure as shit can fuel the fire with your thinking mind, which is what we're trying to avoid, right? You're basically trying to avoid fueling the fire. That is your main objective. Now, you can't do that unless you've got a better attitude. You can't do that unless you are telling yourself, those accepting things, that accepting inner voice. Instead of worrying over every thought and feeling, you're using that non-engagement accepting inner voice and you're living your life. The two keys. Right? So again, I'm glad you made that comment. I'm glad you're paying attention. Yes, you cannot tell the amygdala just to turn off with your thinking mind, but you sure as hell can fuel the fire, which is what we're trying to avoid, which is why you use the accepting inner voice and you do less worry over your thoughts and feelings. You hold yourself accountable for the worry that you're doing, right? So again, glad you made that comment and I hope that helps. Let's see. You've entertained these thoughts and feelings for a good amount of time. Just because you get out of a spiral, it doesn't mean thoughts and feelings won't come back. Yeah, I mean, well, getting out of the spiral, the thoughts and feelings are still going to be there. What I mean by the spiral is you're not adding fuel to the fire, right? The thoughts and feelings are still going to be there. What I mean by pulling yourself together and getting out of the spiral is that you've got the right attitude towards them now. You're not fueling the fire with that worry, right? That's what I mean by pulling yourself together. What's up, Edward? Hope you're having a good day, dude. Yes, it takes practice. You got to learn how to crawl before you can walk, right? Another great stream you did. Stop sending danger signals to your brain. Absolutely. Could have went down 4 rabbit holes today at work when the symptoms hit, but I did my best and didn't engage little by little. I'm getting better at winning that non-engaging battle. I love it, Luis. I love it, man. So is everybody in chat, are we clear on that? Can I see a show of hands? Are we clear on that? K is right. I think it was K. No, it was Red. Red is right. We've said many times before, you can't tell your thinking mind, please make the anxiety go away, and the anxiety goes away. You are right. But are we clear on the fact that you can continue to send danger signals with your thinking mind, and that's what we want to shut down? That's what we want to practice not doing. Are we clear on that? It's going to take time for your amygdala to catch up. It's going to take time for your brain and nerves to heal, right? Are we clear on that? So, yes, I'm so glad they made that comment because it's very true. We say here all the time, you can't reason your way out of anxiety. That's not what you're trying to do. By telling yourself the right things, you're not trying to reason your way out of anxiety. You are trying to no longer fuel the fire. There's a big difference there, right? So the anxiety's still going to be there. You're going to have those false alarms. You're going to have those thoughts. You're going to have those feelings, right? If you can send it worry, can't you send it pleasant things like, nope, I'm not going to respond and think of a sentence like this. It's just anxiety once. Yeah, well, I still think you're kind of confused here. You can send it worry, which pops it off. You can send danger worry signals. But when you say things like, I'm not going to respond and I'm not going to add that worry, that's to yourself, right? What I mean is when you say things like, no, I'm not going to respond to that, I'm not going to add a bunch of worry to that, that's not going to tell the amygdala, okay, you're 100% healed now, you can shut off the false alarm. It's not going to tell the amygdala that when you tell yourself the right things. But what it does do is it stops you from sending the worry. Is that any more clear now? Are we good? I want to make sure you get this before you leave the stream. You telling yourself the right accepting things does not tell the amygdala, okay, you can shut off in an instant now. It doesn't do that. But what it does do is it stops you from adding the worry signals. And then in time, without so many worry signals, the amygdala can start to chill and relax. Are we clear on that? Everybody clear on that? So yeah, it's not an instant fix. You can tell yourself the right things, and you should. That's what the 2 keys are. Stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings. Just have that accepting inner voice and live your life. You should tell yourself the right things, but it's not going to instantly cut off the alarm. But what it does do is it stops you from adding worry signals, which in time gives the amygdala a chance to catch up and relax and heal. Does that make it more clear? Everybody good on this? Are we good on this topic? Because I want to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying there. Want to make sure everybody understands what I'm saying there. You can't instantly shut the amygdala off with your accepting inner voice. That's not what you're trying to do, because that's impossible. What you are doing with the accepting inner voice is not adding worry signals, and due to the lack of so many worry signals, your brain has time to catch up and you're not fueling the fire. Is that clear, right? Yeah, just important topic there. This morning was hell. Kept feeling something bad was going to happen, like pass out, even though I wasn't anxious at all. I'm doing so much better thanks to you. But would this be my amygdala? It's really difficult for me to say, right? I can't diagnose anybody. I'm not a doctor, but I can say that, yes, you can get super dizzy with anxiety. That's a pretty common anxiety symptom. Feeling dizzy, feeling like you're on a boat. Some people describe it as like on a rocking boat. I mean, there's a chance maybe you woke up and you were hit with the morning anxiety. You didn't realize it, right? Because your attitude towards it has changed. I mean, I don't know. I know that those are common symptoms with anxiety. But where you say, I'm doing so much better thanks to you, keep doing what you're doing, right? Keep doing what you're doing. And if you ever encounter anything along your journey where you feel like you need to go get it checked out, then by all means, go get it checked out. Because it's hard to say, but keep doing what you're doing, because clearly you're making progress. So although I can't diagnose anybody, I can say that, yeah, it's pretty common to experience dizziness with anxiety, or that swaying sort of boat feeling. Yep. You can't walk into a room with an AC and instantly cool down. It takes time. Yes, so that is a perfect analogy. It goes back to what Red was saying. You can't reason with the amygdala, which is not what we're doing here. You're using the accepting inner voice because you're not adding worry signals, right? But that's not going to instantly tell the amygdala to turn off. It's just you're not adding worry signals so that you're not fueling the fire and the brain and body can heal. And it's the same concept as walking into a room that's really, really hot, turning on the AC and expecting it to instantly cool down. It's just not going to happen. Your lack of sending worry signals is great, but it still takes time for your mind and body to catch up. Doesn't mean you can't turn a bad day around and have a better day, but if you want those concrete results, it's going to take time without you adding so many worry signals. I say so many because you don't have to be perfect, but we do want to work on it, right? Obviously. Feeling the best I felt in years, guys. Acceptance is legit. Crystal, that is awesome. Take it from Crystal and her comment just now. I worked with Crystal like once, I think, and I told her, like, look, when you're tempted to do that worry over those thoughts and those feelings, you need to have that attitude of, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to do that worry. I can handle this. It's okay. And just give yourself that accepting inner voice instead of adding the worry, instead of doing the compulsions. Just give yourself that non-worry attitude, right? Talk to yourself in that way. Instead of fighting with the thoughts, instead of fighting with the feelings, just cut the worry. And she ran with that, dude. She ran with that. And now she's in the chat saying, feeling the best I've felt in years. But see, the thing between her and somebody who's not quite there is the person who's probably not quite there yet, they probably just haven't been giving it dedication. You got to give it dedication. You can't allow yourself to continue to do all this worry and not try to hold yourself accountable and use that accepting inner voice. You can't continue to do all this worry and expect to get results, or you're going to be here for a while. You're going to be here for quite a while. It's just like the video I did the other day where I said, hey, the number one thing that I see people fucking up on out of all the years that I've been doing this is they're too back and forth. Again, you don't have to be perfect, but if you are using the advice and cutting back on your worry, telling yourself the right things and living your life for 15 minutes, that's not going to cut it, right? And then you fall back into worry for the next 2 weeks. It's just, that's not going to weigh out right? It's not, you're not going to weigh out right there. So the number one problem, that I see with people is that there's a lack of dedication. There's no accountability. It's just there's constant worry, and they're not trying to put a cap on that. They're not trying to tell themselves the right things and continue living. They're just allowing themselves to do this nonstop worry 24/7, which is continuing to work the amygdala up, right? Which is continuing to work the amygdala up. So definitely the number one problem that I see. Luis says, I can agree it works big time. I can see the results, but I've been 100% with the 2 keys, not giving myself any free passes. It sucks big time. Nothing fun about it, but I do see results. I love it, Luis. takes a lot of dedication, basically throwing yourself into fear and being okay with it. Then one day you notice fears has so gradually disappeared. It's so gradual. It is very gradual. And what she means by throwing yourself into the fear is that you're going to have the symptoms and you're going to have the thoughts, but you are holding yourself accountable for not adding worry. You're just using that accepting inner voice instead. And that's what she means by that. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for watching today's sponsored streams. I'm going to go ahead and end this one here. W in chat for Lauren for sponsoring today's stream. I really appreciate it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this one, man. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the love, man. I'm really grateful. And I think that's everything. So till next time, as always, right there, stay awesome.